Good evening. It is 6 o'clock, February the 5th. I know some of you saying, where's the time going? Well, I tell you, it's 2019. We got a change coming in about 7 weeks. We're going to have an election day. We're going to win this election on April the 2nd, and you will see things changing. That will be a major day in the history of East St. in the history of all of us in East St. Louis. I want to thank Reverend Antonio Harris. We were down to his church, Mount Hope Baptist Church, 19th and Tudor last week, and Trinity rather, and we had a really good time down worshiping and praising the Lord with a prayer breakfast that was just fantastic. Some great donuts too. I want to tell you though, we're going to be at Trinity United Methodist Church this coming Saturday morning, 9 o'clock again, for another prayer breakfast. We will be there at 9 o'clock. We finished at 9:30. We invite you to come and be with us to pray. It's not a political meeting. It's not a campaign rally. We don't talk about any politics. There's no posters. There's no literature. It is strictly just us praying to God for this city, for healing of East St. Louis. Speaking of healing and praying, what they say, imitation is the best form of flattery. Last Saturday, I'm pleased to see that some other people had a prayer breakfast in East St. Louis. They were down on 17th Street. They had prayer, I assume. I know they had good food because somebody told me the food was good and it was free and it was hot. And so I hope that they got around to praying. But, you know, that's really what it's all about. You don't have to just pray with us. You can pray with anybody. You can pray at home. You can pray by yourself. We need you to pray for this city. Next, I want to tell you, I'm still in a little shock today. This is the 5th of February. I heard on the news they thought they killed James Brown. I don't know about you. See, I'm a big James Brown fan. I'm Soul Brother #1. That was my man, the godfather of soul. Baby, I'm still in shock, and I hope, like heck, that they come up. I'm going to just simply say, please, please, please find out who did my brother in. Right now, I've got 3 housekeeping things I need to do with you before I take your questions this evening. And as every Tuesday night, I'm going to be right here answering your questions live on my Facebook page. I'm here to talk to you. As your mayor, I believe it's important that I talk to you, that you don't have to get an appointment to come to City Hall. You can call me. You can ask me what it is you need to know about. You want to know why your street's not paved? You want to know why the sewer's not working? You want to know why the police don't show up? You want to know what's happening with your tax dollar? Call me. I will tell you. I will get the answer as best I possibly can as your mayor. But right now, I want to show you something that, as your mayor, I have a receipt dated the 5th of February. I want you to make sure you'll go to my webpage, and you'll be able, on my website, you'll be able to see this receipt posted after this broadcast. This is my actual receipt in my formerly nicotine-stained fingers, okay? This is a receipt for my wheel tax sticker. Yeah, I bought my wheel tax sticker for my car, my private car, okay? Now, what's important, I want you, it's not so much having the sticker, it's having a receipt to show that I paid for it. Because I believe you can get a wheel tax sticker at East St. Louis and not have to pay for it. You know what I'm talking about. You know how the hustle is. This is the boogie, baby. You know, some folks will get them a wheel tax sticker, didn't pay nothing. No cash. And if there was cash, who got it and where was the money going? Okay? We need to check on it. You need to ask every elected official, do you have a wheel tax sticker receipt? Ask your precinct administrator, does he or she have a wheel tax sticker receipt? I doubt it, but I guarantee you they don't. They might not even have a wheel tax sticker. But ain't none of them walking. None of them are riding a bus like I rode. This is another bus pass, or not bus pass, bus schedule. I wrote Metro today. I sent them a long letter. Take a look at my Facebook page, and you will see the letter I wrote them. I simply asked them about Hawthorne School, Manor School, the East St. Louis Township offices, all the stuff that they used, wasted your tax dollars and mine, printing the wrong names of the wrong places on the schedule. So I simply sent them a letter today asking if they need some help on trying to find places in East St. Louis, just call me. I know where everything in East St. Louis is. I've been more than happy to show Metro how to get around in East St. Louis, because apparently they're having a hard time finding some of these places. With that, I have one other announcement I want to make, and that is I need you to vote for me. I need you to vote for me really badly. You need a mayor. I'm your mayor. I'm the guy who's going to do you right, who's not going to hire his cousin. I'm not going to hire my girlfriend. I'm not going to hire somebody else's girlfriend. I'm going to work for you 24/7. I'm going to be honest. I'll be upfront, and I will not rip you off. I will work for you. I will give you sincere, honest, proud leadership, and you won't be ashamed of me. Okay? Let me go to my first question.
Mr. Officer, Mayor Jackson Hicks stated when she became mayor, she inherited the budget deficit. What are your thoughts?
Well, I'm not so sure when she said she inherited a budget deficit. According to her own admission, she was the chairman of the finance committee for the city of East St. Louis for 4 years as a member of the city council before she got to be the mayor. Why is it she didn't say anything about those budget deficits in the first year, her second year, her third year, her fourth year as being on the city council? She never said anything about any of these deficits at all. But more importantly, my biggest concern is that I think that the mayor and every member of the city council, they need to address one serious fact. If you work, you need to be paid. If you have a promise, you make a commitment to somebody, you need to follow through. And the most important fact is this: you got to keep your word. Every man and woman that ever worked for the East St. Louis Police and Fire Department, they earned their pension money. To steal, and I'm saying it just straight out, you guys stole their pension money. They worked for it. They earned it. Me and every other taxpayer, we paid it. You took it and did something else with it. You didn't pay their pension plan. You took their money and hired your friends, hired your relatives, bought cars, did other things, went on travel, did all kind of stuff. You stole the taxpayers' money, plain and simple.
Mr. Officer, I read in a local paper that Mayor Hicks planned to pay back both police and fire pension, and possibly that she's in a $5.5 million debt.
Well, it kind of goes me. If you read that in the paper, why would they pay back something that you don't have to pay back unless you took it? Okay? It's real simple. You took the people's money. Okay? Now you want to pay it back. You're not going to pay it back out of your pocket. You don't have that kind of money. You owe the firemen $33 million. $33 million. Let me say it one more time. $33 million. I'm not even sure that everybody on the city council can count the $33 million. Okay? I don't believe that that it even resonates in their brain. They don't care about paying the city's bills. They passed the budget a few weeks ago knowing it was $5.5 million in debt. If they're telling me it's $5.5 million, I believe it's closer to $7 million, because they can't count. They can't do really good with money. Obviously they can't. Why would you pass a budget for 2019 that's $5.5 million in debt? You need to stop spending the taxpayers' money willfully, wrongfully, and foolishly.
Mr. Officer, the name of your show is Face the Facts.
That's it.
That East St. Louis probably will need to have a layoff to balance the budget.
You figured it out, didn't you? I mean, it doesn't take a genius to figure this out. If you're only collecting $10, you can't spend $15. Something's got to go.
Mr. Officer, as you know, Fairview Heights have the largest tax base in St. Clair County, have a volunteer fire department. If East St. Louis debt prove that it can no longer pay firefighters, will volunteer be a good option?
Well, it's certainly something we need to be looking at. I heard a horror story earlier today about some friends of mine lost their house on 22nd and Trinity, I think it was. And you know what? They're saying, well, there was a question of whether they were a block in or a block out. They might have been in an unincorporated area. They may not have been in the city. A fire department is supposed to be a public trust. Men and women risk their lives to help save other person's lives and their property. To stop one block and not go another block because the fire truck, the house is not in East St. Louis, but it's over in Allerton or it's an unincorporated. That's unacceptable to me as the mayor. I would not permit that. I think that where we have three areas, you got Signal Hill, you got Midway. Those are volunteer fire departments. You also have Caseyville. What's the closest area to Lloydsville Hills? Probably Belleville and Signal Hill. Why is it we can't have an intercooperative agreement to protect those homes wherever they may be? I think the same thing ought to happen with police protection. There's no logical reason that police officers in Brooklyn, Allerton, Washington Park, Centerville, Cahokia can't help the East St. Louis Police Department. We ought to have an intergovernmental agreement where I will sit down with the mayors of those other cities and say, you know what? Come on. Everybody that's in Cahokia hanging around used to be where? In East St. Louis. All the folks in Allerton used to be where? In East St. Louis. Centerville, East St. Louis. Washington Park, East St. Louis. It seems to me that if a crook is doing some mess on 33rd Street and he runs to Washington Park, we ought to go out there and get him. And if somebody from Washington Park is coming to East St. Louis doing some mess, we ought to come get it. And I hope sincerely that the mayors of Washington Park, Centerville, Allerton, Brooklyn, Cahokia will work with me in cooperating in ways that we can go together to stop fires and stop crime in our community.
Mr. Officer, do you believe that the present administration misuse, misappropriate, or just waste spending of taxpayers' money?
All three. No, I'm not going to mince anywhere. All three. They misuse, misappropriate, and waste. What else is there? Let me take 30 seconds on this one. What kind of silly mess was this about with the treasurer's office? 1 week you're going to take the treasurer's employees, the next week you give them back? You're talking about BS politics. I want to say something else, but you know what I'm talking about. And that BS is not black stuff. That's ridiculous. Ridiculous. Come on, this is the boogie. We know what's going on in here. Everybody knows everybody. These are my friends. But when you're wrong, you're wrong. You cannot lie to these people and say, oh, everything is going on all right. I'm working really hard. No, you're not. You don't know what you're doing. It's just that simple. You have no clue on what's going on in this city.
Mr. Officer, as you know, East St. Louis has several boarding homes for the mentally sick. What people service and inspect these homes?
Well, I would think that, the mentally ill in our community, it's a tough situation for any family to have to deal with their loved ones that have mental problems. I don't think it needs to be compounded by corruption, and it doesn't need to be compounded by playing politics with persons who are sick. I would hope that the people in our community, particularly the leaders, will try to sit down and work with St. Clair County Mental Health, try to work with the state of Illinois, try to work with the federal government to provide quality care for those persons who really need it.
Mr. As you see, East St. Louis has taken a lot of abandoned homes and taken down and left a lot of empty lots. Do you have a plan to meet with Governor Pritzker, Congressman Boss, Senator Belt, and Republican Greenwood on home development?
No, not really, because I don't think any of those persons that you name is going to care anything about developing any homes in East St. Louis. Let's be honest. Why would they want to spend money developing new homes in East St. Louis when we can't even protect ourselves with our police and fire departments? We owe them millions and millions of dollars in back pay. We got to demonstrate we can handle our money first. We got to demonstrate we can take care of our policemen and our firemen and give a place for safety where people can have. Why build a home and you got nobody to protect the home? That don't even make any common sense. Nobody from Springfield or Washington or any place else is going to come down here. I've said it before and I'm going to say it again. You cannot ride to freedom in Pharaoh's chariot. White folks ain't coming out here to save us. We got to do something for ourselves. We got to clean up our own city. We got to clean up the mess. You know what Pookie and Man is doing. You know exactly what's happening with Grandma and some of this mess. Come on. If we want to make East St. Louis with some new homes, then we can do it. I just got my tax multiplier statement today from the state of Illinois. St. Clair County tax assessors. Some of you probably got one too. My taxes went up probably by about $300 with the state multiplier. I don't think J.B. Pritzker cares about that state multiplier as it relates to East St. Louis. He just got elected governor. First thing out of his mouth was talking about raising your gas taxes. Are you crazy? I'm looking this morning. I was in O'Fallon. Belleville. Gas was, I think, $1.89 a gallon. In Washington Park, it was $2.25 a gallon. What's the difference? You know how far that was? Less than 15 miles, okay? The difference is they will charge you a heck of a lot more for gas in East St. Louis, in Cahokia, in Washington Park, in Centerville and Alton than they do in Belleville, than they do in Fairview, than they do in Caseyville. Why? Because we are trapped down here. Now, the governor is talking about raising 30 cents a gallon. 30 cents a gallon. I wouldn't blame everybody in East St. Louis if they went and bought their gas in St. Louis. That makes some common sense. We got to band together to say to our state representative, to our state senator, and to the governor, we can't afford that kind of high taxes on poor people. Now, he's a billionaire, so he probably ain't never bought gas. He probably never pumped no gas in his life. He don't know what it's like. He's probably ain't never looked at the marquee to see how much the gas is. If you got several $1 billion, you really think you're worried about paying 30 cents more a gallon? But to you that live on the north side, the south end, it makes a difference. It makes a difference to me as your mayor. I will fight for you.
Mr. Officer, when elected, how would you and the council members and city manager tackle the $5.5 million debt?
Well, the first thing I've said it over and over again, I'm dealing with rumors and you're dealing with rumors. We deal with some facts. At least we know they voted to say that they were $5 million in debt. With this crew, I don't know if they even know how much in debt they are in. But if they admit to $5 million, I said it again, it's probably closer to 7, okay? Because I don't think that they're doing really good accounting. How I would do it, I want to see an audit first. I'll become mayor in May of 2019. I would say if you would give me to probably first part of September, middle September, I will know where the money is, and I will present a 2020 budget that gets rid of the fat, it gets rid of all of the stuff we don't need or stuff we cannot afford, and get us back on a solid foundation financially, and then I can start attacking how we're going to pay money back.
Mr. Officer, East St. Louis have a lot of free parking. Do paid parking bring revenue and jobs? Every place in St. Louis you pay to park. What's your thoughts?
Where are you going to park in East St. Louis that you need to pay? Think about this for a moment. The biggest parking lot in the city is probably East St. Louis Senior High School. I'm not going to charge the students or the teachers to park. The next place will be the Metrolink stop. I'm not going to ask them to pay there. There's no place downtown where you need a parking meter. There's nothing down there to pay to go zoo. You know, we need to understand this is a dead place, okay? We need to build it back up. We need to bring it to life. It can be a great city. It can be a good city. But if we're not going to have, if I'm elected or you elect a magician, they're not going to bring 1,500 jobs in here next year. They're not going to bring 1,500 jobs in here in the next 4 years. That ain't going to happen. There's no way in the world that East St. Louis is going to get a new Alcoa aluminum plant, an Overnester plant, a packing house, one of those major industries that we used to have years and years ago. Those days are gone. What we can do is take advantage of what we got and spend it wisely, spend it honestly, spend it for the betterment for everybody. You heard me say it before. The only reason I got a new street in front of my house is because I live on the same street that the mayor lives on and that the city councilman lives on. My street wouldn't have been paved if those two didn't live here. Your street ain't been paved, has it? Vote for me. I'm waiting for them to read me the next question, okay? Vote for me.
Mr. Officer,
I will set you free.
As you know, East St. Louis have a major illegal dumping problem.
Mhm.
Would you advise citizens to report illegal dumping to
Yes.
the police?
But right now, I think that I have a better plan for illegal dumping than I don't really want to burden the East St. Louis Police Department with dumping, being dumpster divers right now. We've got a more serious crime problem. On 18th Street, we found a young man yesterday murdered on 18th and Martin Luther King. We had a few young people had a major drug overdose the other day in our city. We have greater crime problems right now. A friend of mine was beaten savagely in her home by her son, who's got a mental health problem the other day. I mean, we got some serious problems. I don't know if I'm really, no, I do know. I would much rather send my police officers dealing with violent crimes on persons that hurt children, that hurt old people, that hurt you and I, more than I'm concerned about going and getting somebody dumping a mattress out on the street right now. I think we can get around to that, but my first priority is going to be protecting people.
Mr. Officer, what is regulatory affairs court, and do you think fines and fees is the best route to collect revenue for the city?
Yes and no. I've said this before. When I'm elected mayor, when you vote for me on April the 2nd, and I get elected mayor, I get sworn in May, I'm planning on having a really good meeting with the judges of St. Clair County, the Chief Circuit Judge, the State's Attorney, and others, so that we can line out a plan that will say to everyone who's got that old raggedy car sitting in their yard on some blocks, folks who've got old furniture sitting in the yard, people who are just violating all the code violations in the city of East St. Louis. We will give you to the middle of January of 2020. We will help clean it up. Instead of spending and wasting your tax dollar tearing down somebody else's building, why don't I help use some of that money to help you clean up your yard, okay? To help you get rid of some of that junk, okay? 1-800 got junk, 1 East St. Louis got junk, we'll come get it. We're gonna help you clean up some of your stuff on your property. These vacant lots, I'm not worried about them right now. I'm concerned about all the neighbors I got that got junk sitting in their yard. We need to clean up your house. We need to clean up your yard. We need to clean up the neighborhoods. Once we do that, then you can't put some more of this junk back in your yard without getting a fine, okay? You can't say, well, Mr. Officer, I didn't know. Yes, you did. You had 6 months. We came and cleaned out that stuff out of your yard. And you put it right back out there, then you're going to get a ticket. You're going to get a fine.
Mr. Officer, the city is 36 days in the new year and is $5 million in debt. How do they have a fully staffed code enforcement and not police department?
Well, I'm not so sure they got a fully staffed code enforcement. Pardon me, I'm not so sure what they got fully staffed. I have not sat down and talked to the person that I trust to tell me the truth. I hope to meet with her tomorrow. That her is Doreen Hoosman. I've not been biting my tongue. The only person that I trust that is in the know, that understands, that gives me facts and figures in East St. Louis that I believe is honest and has not got some axe to grind. They're not stealing. They're not trying to hire relatives or anything. It's Doreen. That's who can tell me what is really going on. And once I talk to her, which will probably be tomorrow or Thursday or Friday of this week, and I'll be back on next Tuesday night at 6 o'clock, and I will tell you if she's got some information she can share with me, then I will talk to you about what I think makes some sense. But right now, I don't know how many people they got at regulatory affairs. I do know we do not have enough qualified, dedicated police officers.
Mr. Officer, as a voter, as a business owner, and as a candidate for mayor, what words would you say to the people about the city's finance problem?
Well, here again, I'm going to go back to that audit again. I think that the city's finance problem is a lot A little bit like the state. The state of Illinois is making more money than it ever made before. They're spending more though. We're wasting money. We're spending money that we don't have. The state collects more money than it's ever collected before. The city has got to be very realistic about how much money we get and about where we spend the money. I can't be critical of anybody on spending until I know exactly where the money's coming from and where it's going. I do know this much. You cannot be a government leader and vote for a deficit budget and say that you're leading. That's not leading. That is totally failure. Okay? I got one more time for one more question, and then I got one thing I need to ask you to do with me.
Mr. Officer, once again, a lot of people is concerned about downtown East St. Louis.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a plan for downtown East St. Louis?
Sure. My major plan is to demolish most of it. You can't rehab most of those buildings. You got 3 really good buildings. Associated Bank, First National Bank building, and I think you got the old Union Bank building the city owns. I think you need to develop with that core. I'm not even sure you can save the Majestic building. The Spivey building's got to go. Those other buildings need to go. Yes, I have an idea for the plan. I don't have enough time to discuss it with you right now, but I will tell you this. I can sit down with you and listen to what you want to do. I can tell you what is practical. We can have all kind of dreams and plans when we want to build downtown, but you have to have money. Nobody's going to invest in East St. Louis because of what used to be. That's not even the real world. You need to understand. I understand how to make this thing work for you. That's why you need to have me working for you. You got to vote for me on April the 2nd, 2019. I am your mayor. Your mayor. Your mayor. Thank you and good night. Let's pray. Father God, we just once again say thank you. Thank you for another night to be able to talk to your citizens. We thank you for your people. But we thank you most importantly for yourself, for your blessings, your kindness, and your direction. Give us some strength. Give us some peace. And in Christ's name we pray. God bless you and amen. Peace out, baby. See you next week.